I'd like to thank our top sponsors, Anders Berge Christensen, Dean Anthony, and Jared Fountain, for making this show possible. And welcome to the 29th episode of The Cave of Apelles. Defending timelessness is more important than ever. As gatekeepers of culture, probing your moral purity, aim for total control. The solution lies in the individual communion with eternal principles. Indeed, tonight's guest says this is exactly what happened in the Renaissance. He is a painter concerned with the mystery cults of antiquity and how storytellers can improve by implementing the mystical perspective. Jonas Landstad, thank you for coming to the Cave of Apelles.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here.
And I think we should just go right at your self-portrait here on the wall.
Yeah.
And start from there.
Yeah, sure.
What's going on?
It's this is the last painting I painted as a student of Nerdrum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fitting to bring it back here now.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story because it's very inspired by a painting that was in the students' kitchen here when we were students here. And it was one day I was doing dishes, and then Odd suddenly comes in and he places this painting right in front of my face over the sink, which is a Titian, this piece of a Titian that was once a bigger painting, so something.
I guess it was burnt or
yeah. So it's just a fragment of it, and it's very thinly painted, so you see the canvas through all the way. So, and it's also a young man who looked a little bit like me, so I was a bit inspired and thought I could try to do something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what it became. Yeah.
Yeah, it does look quite a bit like you. I like it. It has some kind of a sort of a Renaissance feel to it. This sfumato technique. It's quite thinly painted, right?
Yeah, very. So a little bit ghostly, I was in the appearance.
Yeah, because I was thinking of looking at, and the frame is also what is it about the frame?
Oh yeah, I got the frame made from some wood carvers out for my design.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the demon father in the sky,
mm-hmm.
like the father in the sky, a little bit contemplative. And here you have the mother, which is like the earth, the life, and she's like a sea creature in a way, but she also has this. The plants or the wheat and this.
Sort of like a Demeter figure, or
something like this. Mm-hmm. And she gives birth to the little demon child, as you see.
Upside down, yeah.
Yeah. So he comes out in the birthing, and here you have the earth and the plants stretching up towards the beams of the sun. So it's all connected, like that was thought about it.
Yes, I think it's one of the most nicest furnitures we've had.
Yeah. and it's also a bit Viking inspired. There was also a frame I remember Odd had in Bergen there in the Rasmus Meyer or with the horse head.
Yeah, I remember that one.
It has this similar shape on the frame, so it's a little bit inspired by the Vikings, and also the color, this dark stave church tar, like.
Right. Have you heard about that though? It's a bit on a side note, but apparently the stave churches in Norway are based on how the old temples, like Norse temples, were built.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah.
But I guess they're placed over the last. Usually, all the churches are placed on these old temple grounds.
Yeah.
All over the world. So, and I think I will get a little bit into that with mysticals, because it goes as say a typical practice of the church to do that you take over the old places of worship and put it in these cultic places.
Yeah, it's, there's that. Just dwelling a bit on that. There's this. I remember it was such a stupid thing. It sounds very modern. How I forget who it is. I don't know. You probably heard that story where I don't know if it was Saint Olav or who sort of Christianized Norway. Comes into this like Hof, where they have the gods there, and then they've been apparently giving food to the figure. And then he sort of reveals it by pushing it over, and you see that there's rats inside eating, and you see it was all a lie all the time, all along, as if that was the actual point.
But I think it's very interesting with this, because it's in the story of Olav the Holy, or it's so many of these encounters with the heathen culture. Where is another story. It's called Vølsetotten, where he comes to this farm somewhere in the mountains or something, and he's called he's hooded, and he calls himself Grimer, which is the hooded man, and he doesn't reveal his true persona, and so he's invited by the family at the farm. And after the dinner, they pull out this linen cloth with this sacred horse penis, which is called vølse, and this has been packed in linen with different herbs and things, and they send it around. So the husband says something about this in honor to vølse, and then they send it next to the other one, and it goes around, and then it comes to the servant girl, who is the trell, the slave girl, and she says like she would like to put it between her legs or something, and then it comes to Olav, and he just throws it to the dog, and because he's like doesn't like this kind of practice, and then he pulls off his hood and says, and shows his true identity as a king, and Christians them or something. But I think it's I think actually Snorre perhaps had a kind of mission to also show the remains of this heathen world wrapped into the story of the kings, so that it would survive. That's a belief I have, because if you tell the story of the kings, then it will live. And you can preserve, because mostly everything we know about heathen culture in Norway comes from through Snorre, and
so it's a psychological trick somehow to keep knowledge alive.
Yeah, so you honor the people in power, and you hide in this the knowledge of the past. Well,
that's the trick you have to use. Stefan Zweig talks about it, not when it comes to myth, but in the First World War, when the French and the Germans should hate each other. Then there was this French poet who wrote how he would say that we should distance ourselves from the Germans. And talk about all those things that we were supposed to do, but in a way that you understood that he made PR for, that they should continue to be in contact.
Okay.
And this Zweig then quotes him the whole length of the letter in the national newspaper, so it continues. Same type of trick.
I think they used it a lot in
hiding it in plain sight. So to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Hiding, and that's because when you have this opposition, or someone who will chase you, like the church, of course, they want to chase all the heathen people or the hidden belief. It's no room for that. So you have to go underground and you have to find ways to preserve it. And
I'm curious to know how you got into the whole idea of the mystic cult or mystery cults in the first place.
It's a long story, but I can
make it this short.
Yeah, I'll try. I started as I studied history of religion at university, and I was very interested in the Eastern religions. And I had this studied Hinduism, and I had a professor who was speaking about these different gods in the Hindu pantheon, if you could call it like that. But this professor, he was not very interested in the religion. He was more interested in this politics of religion, and then in a by sentence he mentioned Suma, which was an Indian god, but it's also this drink of immortality. And I thought, wow, this sounds very interesting. And then it just says like, no, but this is not important for us, so we'll talk about something else. And then I was just, wow, Suma, I want to know what this is. This drink of immortality. What's this?
Yes, for some reason that
got to me. And so immediately after the lecture is over, I go to the library and I search for Suma, and I find this book. It's called Suma, Divine Mushroom of Immortality. And I borrow this and I read it, and it's by Gordon Wasson. It's one of these the scholars in this book, or he's a mycologist who wrote about Suma, this Indian god and drink of immortality, like it's called Amrita, or like the ambrosia in Greece, or the nectar of the gods.
Okay.
And basically he says that this finds that this must be the Amanita muscaria, the fly agaric mushroom. And that's when I first got into it. And I didn't really I didn't understand it immediately. But then later I discovered another book by John Allegro, who's a scholar of Semitic languages, who was one of the person on the team to translate the Dead Sea Scrolls that they found in Qumran in the 1950s. And it was the documents of the Essenes, this earliest form of Christianity, which Jesus would have been a part of this community, and John the Baptist and all this. And this John Allegro, what he found, that when he translated this text and he connected the words and the titles and the sentences of the gospel, he found that this also was related to mushroom cults, and this also the divine mushroom of immortality also. And he found out that Jesus basically was a mushroom. That's the sacrament of the Christian Church. And,
so that is just a symbol for that. Well, it's basically a drug, right? That leads you into another dimension, or not necessarily a drug, but in this case it would be.
A psychoactive mushroom. And then it led me on to read more about it. And then I discovered this theory about the Ulysses Mysteries, that they found out that this drink that they drank in the Ulysses Mystery, the Kykeon, that this also was a psychoactive potion, and that would give the initiates the mistes of the mysterion, or the initiate. He has the mistes is the guy, the initiate. He has his eyes and his lips are sealed, and he is blind to this world. But when he experienced the mystery, he becomes someone who has seen an apoptos, because he has seen the holy, and it was called a tahira or something. Yeah. And so understood that this is the link to the mystical experience, and that this is basically the fountain of culture and fountain of Western culture.
Is there any kind of idea of what that experience specifically was or was supposed to be? Yeah.
Because it's Aristotle, for example, he explains it as it's more than an experience than a learning. It's initiation into I call it a shamanic experience, perhaps, or an entry into the other world, into the world of myth, into the
eternal perspective, or the archetypical landscape, or whatever.
That's where the into the subconscious, if you like, or the extraordinary.
Is it something to do also with? I don't know, because you know quite a lot more about this than I do, but has it anything to do with the Jungian idea of the shadow and being united with it? Because you have to, because if not, it becomes destructive, or?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Because it's like the other side of man. Yeah,
but not necessarily the destructive side. But,
no, it's not necessarily destructive. But it's not not the rational. It's the realm of as Socrates said, it's like this the realm of the, perhaps you could say, the divine madness that we talked about. This that it says that the greatest blessings come to us as a madness, provided madness is given to us by as a divine gift. And so we enter this, we step over this threshold into an other part of reality, if you like.
Is it? I'm thinking about all the time Graham Hancock.
Yes.
I just read The Magicians of the Gods.
Yeah.
And he said, and we didn't see him at Joe Rogan Experience on the podcast. They talk, well, both of them are into psycho changing drugs. So what did you call it?
Psychoactive or
yeah. And that this somehow should sort of catapult you into an experience of what it is to be eternal.
Yeah. Because it expands your consciousness, you can say, and one of the things is just that it loosens you in a way from your the way of describing everything around you with words. You can say that you can experience reality without classifying everything.
But
you can say it like that, and then you get a completely different experience of reality.
Sebastian Salvo has been quite concerned with this idea of the Participle Myth. I'm just trying to test out what you're saying here to see if I understand it. Where, long story short, where he doesn't ask the question to the king why he's wounded, because he's behaving according to the rules of a knight, and therefore he's cast out of the castle like a goose. Go away, you goose, this voice says. And the fault that he makes is that he adheres to the social rules. Has it something to do with that you come into a realm where the social rules just fall apart, and it's some sense of eternity?
Yeah. I would say it's in that realm you're outside of time. You leave there's no conception of or concept of time. You are in the world of myth or in the world of eternity. Yes, definitely. And you can also experience this sense of because that's where you have the idea of crucifixion. As you have in the Christian myth, the death and the resurrection, and that's also not only a Christian belief. It comes from the other mystery cults as well. That you are, and in Ulysses also, because it's connected to this the cycle of the harvest, or because that's the basis of the Eleusinian mystery, where you have Demeter, who's her daughter Persephone. It's an abduction of the maiden. That she's out picking a plant, Narcissus, I think, and then she's abducted to the underworld and is married to Hades, and this makes Demeter very, very sad, because she's lost her daughter to the underworld, and so in a way to make the story shorter, then Zeus makes a deal with Hades to get her back to life, but she can only come back for certain months, and that is like the myth of the origin of the harvest, or the seasons, or and that's also a resurrection is a fertility myth of the death of the grain and the resurrection of it, and which is of course very important for civilization. This and also. But it's also a spiritual death, also this that you experience in the mystery. That you have you're born again, basically, and you see the world with new eyes. So,
but speaking of the Dead Sea Scrolls, right?
Yes.
That you mentioned, that's where you have the Gospel according to Thomas, isn't it? Where they talk about, or it's written that if you're feeling good right now, then you are in paradise here and now. It's not something on the other side of existence, and you have to pass the whatever clerics of the church to get in there. I mean, I was thinking about that when you know.
Yeah, because the Gnostics, I think the Gospel of Thomas is more like a Gnostic gospel, and I think it was not found with Dead Sea Scrolls, if I'm correct. I think it was found another place. I think it's part of this Nag Hammadi literature, if I'm right. But the Gnostic church is very connected with these mystery cults. I think it's very mixed together with it later, and also that they have this that they share more ideas with this, and it's more this personal experience with God, and
I think it's quite relevant there to Joseph Campbell talks about that in one of the lectures on the Arthurian legends. Where he talks about mentions gnosis. I didn't know apparently it comes from Sanskrit and it means body. And that really resonated with me, because I've been thinking about it for a long time, that if we're talking about sort of the purely mental health issue here, you can read about things and think about things, but if you don't know it with your body, it doesn't really help.
No, and it's also this experience that it's It is in a way a bodily experience, or it's more. It's a deeper experience. It's not an intellectual knowledge. It's an experience that you have to. It's on a deeper level, I think, and of course the body is the vehicle of spiritual transformation, as they say in India and Tantra or yoga. That's why you do this. I think that's interesting also that you are in these traditions you're a practitioner, but in the church you're only a believer. So it's like you actually you have to do some work. You're not only just sit there and pray. But then you can also pray, but it's more. You have different techniques. You do meditation. You breathe. You do things to get this knowledge, which is a deeper knowledge than just intellectual understanding.
But what was the connection between Ulysses Mysteries, and there are basically mystery cults all around the world? I mean, it's not like a specifically Western thing at all.
No, because you have. I would say we are Indo-European people, and the Indo-European people come. Well, they come from. I think it's a debate where they come from exactly, but you have this movement from India. You have the Aryan people who came into India with the Vedic culture, and there you have the Suma cult, which also goes into Iran and to the Persian Magis and this Zoroastrianism, and there you have the Mithras cult that also comes to Rome, and you have the Ulysses mystery, you have the Egyptian mysteries, or the Isis mystery, so you have these mystery cults all around in this area in the Middle East or Mediterranean, and they're connected and similar in the way that it seems like they're similar because they have the sacrament, which is the means to get this experience, and also you have the.
But are they talking about this type of psychoactive in all of those mystery cults? Yeah. But then, of course, obviously, it was controlled usage of it.
Yeah, but and this is the theme of the myths. Like you have in Mithras, you have the Mithras is the slayer of the bull, and he slays the bull, and that's how it's depicted in all this. They have this what's called Mitraeum, which is subterranean chambers where they had the rituals, and he's depicted as this young man mounting a bull and stabbing it, and the blood pours out, and you have this snake and a dog licking the blood. And anyway, they drank the bull's blood, and the bull's blood is obviously a metaphor. So they didn't drink actually bull's blood, but they did in a way. But you have to understand what the bull's blood actually was, and that is what this theory is, that this was a psychoactive mushroom, because it's a symbol for the mushroom, as Jesus is the. You drink the blood of Jesus, you eat his flesh, and or in with the Dionysos, you also he's also mushroom in a way, I would say, or he represents.
Because it's a metaphor for the agent that delivers you into.
To the other world, into the ecstasy, and you know this word ecstasy means actually to go out of your body.
Yes, ecstasy.
It's shamanic. Basically, it comes from a shamanic tradition, ancient, with these initiations in the caves, and you had the cave paintings that were used in a way to make this or help to make this experience with the and the theater also. Dionysus also the god of the theater, and the theater was also in the beginning a shamanic.
I read about that. That really affected me.
And they also drank a potion before they had to drink the drink before they watched the theater. And there was a shaman
to amplify the experience, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's a connection, and this idea that when we're sitting in the theater, we're trying to be quiet and not cough and these things. But I mean the vantage point of it is that, like Campbell is talking about, that a ritual is the participation in the myth, in the eternal situation. And then that sort of becomes codified into what we call theater, but it still serves that function, or is supposed to serve that function. I mean, just think about it, if you sort of fast forward to our time, where everything within culture, or what is called art, says "Thou shalt be in thine time," and that must be the exact opposite of what you're talking about.
Definitely, and also with the shamans in the cave. If you go back to this caves in France, it was a Chauveau cave, something like this, where you have these paintings, and the painting of the shaman is changing what you call it when you shift the hum.
You change your shape, like turn into an animal or whatever.
Shifting, and this, and it's you see, and it was used to magnify this experience, or where they had the torches and the paintings. And
well, you heard about that little figure they found somewhere in Germany. I think it's like this tall. It's a human figure with a lion's head.
Okay, no.
Or some kind of just can't think of it when you said it.
But they used paintings already then in this way to make this just like the theater, I would say, and this we have lost very much today.
Yeah, and I think that's a degenerate way of thinking. This that I'm doing painting, and he's writing novels, and he's doing that. This is just versions of storytelling. And if you shall really craft stories that affect people, you have to know that the point of that in the first place was to throw you out into some kind of eternal perspective.
And in the Greek poetry, it was performed with music. And
okay. What does that imply? Do you mean then?
No, I think that it was more like an experience, very. It was maybe almost like a theater, more profound. Though poetry can also be profound without music, but it was very.
Like a full experience. I mean, well, that kind of reminds. What were they performing? I don't know if it was Bach in some church, and they have the organ there had this extra sort of bass tone, but you don't hear it, you just feel it. And the story was that everybody afterwards was like, "Oh, this was such a great experience." The point then being that they felt the vibration of it and therefore they liked it even more.
And also the temples, they were also constructed in a way. Is a guy who's written a lot about his Egyptian temples, how they're constructed in a way to work both with sound and it works on many different layers, both with the psychological level and the archetypical level, all this to create this lasting impression of eternity, or that to make this macro microcosmos, this so that you can experience that it's a temple of man, and you experience you are the cosmic man. That's the goal of this initiation, to understand this through the physical.
That's the
construction of the temple.
Yeah, and that's the situation in Moby Dick with Pip lying out at sea there alone, his little head on the water, and it describes how it becomes sort of a mirror of the sun on its firmament. So the sun and his head are the same thing, and that makes it quite grand, right? But and I think that then you're talking about, I don't know what Melville knew about these things, but that's what you're talking about, and or that's what I'm trying to. Well, we could try to relate it also to your self-portrait here. That how, why is this not just sort of cultural, historical, interesting, but how can you also actually use it to in your work? I mean, I'm not talking about necessarily illustrating exactly what you're talking about, but this mindset.
Yeah, because you don't have to necessarily only paint the myths or right. Though you can, but it's.
Well, the point is that that there's an internal quality about it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think. The painter is this mediator between between these realms, and that you can use that to.
Yeah.
Of course, I think also it can. You don't necessarily need to be an initiate into the mystery, but you can, of course. That could be great. But
well, there can be different paths into that.
Yeah.
One of the concepts that really goes directly against what you're saying is this idea that we've learned in the West and has spread to the whole world. This idea about the so-called aesthetical indifference. That's the thing about sitting in a theater. I'm watching a theater now, or a theater play now, and
you don't take part in it.
No, exactly. It says you and what you're seeing are completely separated, and that's kind of this.
And then, but then you have failed, I would say, as a director, or if you can't.
Yeah, but then that's the idea.
Yeah.
And you can say, if you should be really harsh, then the audience has also failed, because you have that gargoyle. I've been so concerned with that term now. The gargoyle scaring you from entering the mythical space, and if you sort of shun away from that, you sort of didn't pass the test. But I don't know if I'm going too far with that. I remember seeing Othello in Vienna, and they tried all they could to sort of make it so-called modern, but the actors were so good and so convincing that I was just shocked by how he could trick Othello one more time. I thought he had understood it now, but it happened again.
And it is magic. It's and I think that can be compared to painting. That painters are or should be magicians in a way, because we use tricks. Like you talk about with being painterly. That's also is tricks. Because you don't paint exactly what is there. You give hints of you take what's important and you leave out what's not important, and you trick the mind into getting into the painting, like with because if you paint and that's also the problem of the painter, I guess, that your brain always fixes it, for you. So you get blind, so it may be completely wrong, but you don't see it when you looked too much on it. And this is also that's a great tool for the painter, but it's also what he has to fight against all the time. But it's acting, and it's like, and also an actor. A good actor, he will act it. He doesn't have to, do it. Like my stepfather, he's actor and worked as a film director, and he told me a story about some famous Hollywood actors who were playing a film, and there was one scene where they were supposed to have been running, and they were supposed to be very tired from running. And this one actor has been running around the block, and he comes in very sweaty and tired. And the other actor is just like, oh, why are you so tired, or why are you so sweaty? And he says, no, I've been running so to prepare for the scene. And the other actor says, well, you're an actor, why don't you just act it? So I think painters can do something about it. They can. It's trickery in a way.
Yeah. You know, so like that's what I'm thinking about art. You know, like modern art is kind of like a fast food solution. You know, oh, you want some truth? Here it is. You know, you can just take it. I made some art today. I made some truth today. That's what Russian Malevich is doing when he's saying that this black square is the essence of Rembrandt. And you think, you know, it's like if you think it's that easy, you can just, oh, here's the essence of the whole human existence. Okay, fine, here it is. You know, you can watch it. You know, it's a completely absurd situation. But I'm thinking these two, and it's, you know, too one-sided, obviously. But that's what makes that eerie scene in The Shining. You know, when she comes and sees what he's been writing on the machine. And it says, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. You know. And I think that's a quite effective illustration of what happens if it's, you know, all temporal, all so-called rational. Because you're not rational if you don't take into consideration that we have a body and we have emotions.
The rationality is irrational.
Because alone,
because it's more to it. To be, it's only half of man, I would say. That is, and this is what Dionysus represents. This the wild. This it comes from Nysa. This is the other world. This where the nymphs live. This silence live. These creatures of the other world, and they are also part of us. And through the wine, or through the or if it's through the bull's blood, drinking the bull's blood, or drinking the blood of Christ, we can enter into this other and experience this other part of reality. And
that's where you have all those ideas of the hero coming into a castle or into the mountain or something like that, and then spending time with the goddess and, you know, in bed, and then that's a weird symbol then, because you have it, of course, it's quite sexual, but in the same time she, as Campbell is talking about, she symbolizes the world for him, or what he can understand about the world, or that he can get some kind of a control or insight into how the world functions by uniting with her. Or it's all sexual. Yeah, all the mythology, all the religion. It's ultimately fertility cults, and it is because. And that's it's a sexual union of these principles of the. In what way would that apply to Christianity? Because you said that Christianity, at least in the beginning, was a sort of mystery cult. Or grew out of it. It's the cult that Jesus would have been a part of. Those were the Essenes. They were like a Jewish messianic, bit extremist cult
healers, magicians, very different from the idea we get of Jesus in the Gospels. But the early Christian myth is very, connected with the Mithras and Dionysus. Like you have the name, as John Allegro, he showed this by going back to the Sumerian sources. You have the name of Jesus in broken down to Sumerian. Then it is because his name is Joshua. Jesus is a Greek name, and his name is Joshua in Hebrew. And that, and we take back to Sumerian, that is Yahushua, Yahushua, and Dionysus is Yahunuashus, or something like this. So it's basically the same name when you come back to this area. It's so, and the Christian actually is Christos. It's also a Greek name, but it means it's translated as anointed, but it actually means semen smeared. So you're smeared in semen, and the semen is the juice of fecundity. That was the name of Zeus or Jehovah. That's what it also means when it translated back to this early Sumerian sources. Wow. So you have these fertility cults and mushroom cults, and the mushroom is the perfect symbol of this, because it's born of a virgin birth. It's because they didn't know. The ancients, like Plinius, he talks about mushrooms, that they're one of the great marvels of the world, because no one knows where they come from. They just come out of the earth, and they're born like an egg, and from the womb, and then you get the stem, the borer, or the bolt, and then you have the cap, the canopy, that. And this is the ancient name of the mushroom from Sumerian, is the canopy that holds up the sky, or something like this. And so it's a very fertility cult and a mushroom cult. And you have like Cain and Abel. Is the name means the womb and the borer, or the bolt. And you have Jesus is his son of a carpenter, but in the text is his son of a Harmonides. Is a joiner. The Harmonides is a harmonizer. Is a joiner. Is a joiner of the bearer and the burden. And it's also and there you have the cross also. it's very, very interesting, and there's also this other sentence from the Gospels, I think, where they say that the Jesus is a stumbling block to the Jews, or a scandalon, and a folly to the Gentiles, to the Greeks. And scandalon is another word for it's the bolt, and the folly, that's in Greek moria, which is it's also it's a rock, I think, something like this. So you have this symbol. It's written like John Allegro talks about it. It's written that the ancients wrote the text in different layers, and you have this the top of the story is for the lowest kind of wit, and then you have the more layers where you interchange words, and it's word plays and all this, and so you have a official story, the mythology story, which is just absurd.
That people make fun of today.
And
then they show that they have not so much wit.
and that's why people can't believe in it today. They can't take religion seriously, because it's just with science, then it becomes impossible. And then because they don't understand that it's not literally in that sense, or the first level of the story is not literally. But if you know the symbols, you can understand it literally. If you know the symbols, like with the bull's blood of Mithras, which is like, if you know what it means to drink bull's blood, then you know it's not the bull of the blood. No, the blood of the bull, but it is a symbol of the blood's blood.
Well,
bull's blood.
Take some more wine. But then you're talking about Christ, not as a person or figure, but as a symbol of, if you accept this, or what mediates and throws you into that internal realm.
It's the Son of God, and because he is the mushroom that is grown out from the seed of God, who is the juice of fecundity of the divine thunder penis, which is also called in Jehovah, what's it called? The Lord is Sebaot, I think it's called, and it's translated as the Lord of Hosts. But this also John Allegro says that this is also means that basically the thundercock. so it's the juice of fecundity of the thundercock, and this creates the mushroom through the impregnation of the mother goddess, the earth, and this is the Son of God that is the mediator, or the joiner who joins man with divinity, and then you get quote unquote pregnant, or something, a new life is added, or whatever. I mean, probably you get connected with the source, if you could call it like that, through the through the Eucharist, or to the sacrament. But that gives a bit of new light to some things that I noticed in Campbell. This idea about, and that is not yet another thing that is sort of a cliche, and it's according to what you're saying now, it becomes really apparent to me that it's really misunderstood. You have that term to kill your father. And people think, yes, I'm going to distance myself and be myself and all these things. But what Campbell is talking about is, you think that you and the father are two different things, but then suddenly, in the course of the hero's journey, you understand that you and the father are the same. And therefore he dies, because he was never something other to you. And when you're talking about Jesus in that sense, it's the same thing that happens to him. He and the Father becomes one. The Father is not something up there and he is down here, but they melt together when he rises to heaven. You become the Father when you kill your father, or you. But it's not. Then you have to think the metaphor again. It's not killing, but it is just emerging, and therefore what you thought was the other is not the other anymore. You realize your potential. Which is ultimately, it's no limitations. But what happens then with? You talked about before we started recording about this idea of how when the church was established and the institution takes over, it sort of comes in as these gatekeepers. I think that's very important to talk about, because as he says, Karl Pirak, this is his book here, or one of his other books. This is about the Ulysses Mysteries. And he talks about how these all the mysteries they differ very much from the Christian mystery, in that these other mysteries, they were tolerant. They're tolerant to other mysteries. They had no problem to live side by side. But Christianity, it was original in the sense that it claimed originality. So they were the only way to salvation. And they persecuted all the other ways to salvation, or the ways to mystical experiences. So the mystery of Ulysses was eventually closed. The Mithras cult went underground. The Gnostics were, followed and or chased and killed for centuries. And so it became an underground current or movement. And I think it seems like that all these ancient mystery traditions in a way and the Gnosticism has in a way joined together throughout history and been this undercurrent that has...
after the Christianity comes on the stage, they more or less merge together as sort of like one common mystery cult, or... that these traditions or the remnants of or remains of these traditions have gone together and survived into modernity, into the Renaissance, where they rediscovered antiquity and they rediscovered Hermes Trismegistus and this hermetical revival. And you found Plato, and you found all the Greek philosophers, and it and then it had happened, this explosion of this thought that I think it was an explosion of the rediscovery of the mysteries. But then that means that this whole mystery idea is another term for individualism, or? Yeah, I think so, and because that's where the difference between when the church acts as this mediator, that the Pope is well, he has the keys. He's like God's representative on earth. I think that's what he calls himself. And it's quite pretentious, very, very much. And he has this crazy hat and all but anyway. But in the mystery tradition, then everyone was, even the slaves could come and be a part, and they could experience. You and the Father are one. Yeah, that's amazing. That's in the Gnosticism too. And that's what Christ teaches also. And that's what's the paradox here, that if we go back to John Allegro, he says this famous words that Jesus says, that on this rock I shall build my church, he says to Peter, his follower. And this is also a coded sentence. Like it's because Peter, he was called Kephas. It was his like the title in the Essene community, like an overseer in this community. And his name was Peter. And Kephas means rock, and Peter, because from Greek Petros, means rock. So it's like, on this rock I shall build my church. And it's basically that the church is built on the rock, and the rock is a symbol of the mushroom. So the church is built on Christ, the mushroom, and the union through Christ is not through the church. Exactly.
And this is what the mystics have taught from, or tried to. They kept it as a secret throughout throughout history and tried to maintain this. And they've been persecuted, burned on the stakes, killed, and because that's heretic.
Yeah.
Because the church wants to hold this for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very different from the mystery. I think that because this is something that all men should have, I believe, or have the right to have this direct experience.
Well, it sounds a bit similar to what Campbell is talking about when it comes to the Knights of the Round Table. He uses that example a lot, where they shall go and search for the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And then they say, one of them says, each man shall go into the forest in the spot that is most frightening to him. And that is absolutely an individual approach to, enlightenment or whatever you'd like to call it, right? But is that connected also to the idea of gnosis? Because Campbell talks about how gnosis goes back to Sanskrit and means body. I'm just trying to understand how this goes together. I've been really concerned with this thing that you have to understand things through your body, not just intellectually, because if not, it doesn't. There's no connection. And with those mystery cults, that was, of course, sort of a psychoactive, as you say, awakening, but it goes directly in your body. So in that sense, it's not just an intellectual travel, but it's a sensual experience.
It's more than intellectual.
Yeah,
and you have that is what the yogis do. I would say. If you go to India, where you have the all these practices to. Because they explain it in a way that you have. Ultimately, you are this. I talked about this. That you are this ultimate consciousness that has, in a way, limited yourself, so that you can experience the world through the matter and through the Maya, or through this veil of matter, and then the practice is to unfold again and to get into this realization, and that you do through the body, and you cannot understand this intellectually, and you cannot understand the mystery intellectually. The mystery has to be experienced. That's why you cannot talk about it. And the words like the mystus that he has his lips sealed and it says bums the word.
But is that a metaphor, or did they actually symbolically close them out somehow? Or?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure, but it was.
In any case, it's a metaphor.
And they were not allowed to speak about it because it was punishable by death. And but anyway, you cannot speak about it, even if you try. I think that's what the mystics have always. You have to talk about it through symbols and try to lead people into it, but I don't think you cannot explain the experience, because it's an experience. It's not
you cannot document it in that sense. No. I mean, it's that joke where you want to show someone how romantic your dinner was with your wife was, and you film it to show how romantic it was. Yes, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. No.
But there's one point I wanted to hear you talk about, because you did mention it when we had our preparatory conversations, this thing about how, if I understood you correctly, that they would, and I guess throughout time and different cultures use images as part of this initiation. I don't know, like in addition to drinking the kykion, or that it would serve the same function, or
I don't know if they did it in the Greek mystery. I don't know, but they had the initiation rites there. But where you went, it was you had to prepare for the mystery, and then it was like a lesser mystery that take place in February, while the main mystery was in September. And it was in this month of Antesterion, I think it was called the flower month.
But you were like a student and preparing to go.
Yeah. So you had to have a preparation, a smaller mystery before you went to the bigger mystery, and that was probably so that you similar to this Dionysian mystery of the Maenads, how they went into the mountains and picked mushrooms and went mad. But in Tibet they used it's a good example for how they used paintings for initiation, where you have the mandalas, you have the paintings of different deities, or the different aspects of deities that represent different aspects of God or of the spiritual journey. So you can use them as to meditate on and to learn.
But am I reading too much into it? I guess it's self-evident that part of this experience is that you get away from the restraints of the time. I mean, you mentioned
because time is unimportant.
Yes.
When it comes to this work, if you can call it, because you go out of time, you go into a different or another kind of time, where you have there is no concept of time.
And I think that's what also you see in great paintings or great sculptures or great literature, is that it's not contemporary, it's not temporal. I mean, then it's this idea of that I realized lately is, the persona, the mask of the actors. That is that first level that you've been talking about. What seemingly is happening in story, that's the persona. But then behind that, and perhaps there's another one, behind that there has to be some kind of archetypical figure or something that functions archetypically, so that you become aware of these things, and you don't get lost in just pursuing temporal issues.
And you had this I think in the this early Italian what's called the mask, the Italian mask, so the mask theater, or what is, we have this archetypical different characters with the masks that are the masks of the carnival. And you have this Il Dottore, or this Bauta, or this different archetypical characters that are always in the play. I don't know if that's similar. But
how can you say something more about the Renaissance?
Yeah.
Like how did I mean? Do you know?
We can talk about, because this how this mystery cult survived into the Renaissance, and how we know that they did, because they you have we can talk about Titian and because also this Karl Pirrak, this great scholar, who talks about different examples of paintings from the Renaissance. Yes, more earlier Renaissance, this Jan van Eyck in this
What he mentions that in this book?
No, it's a different book. But I can give the name of it in the later. But it's you have this Jan van Eyck. What is it, St. Baf's Cathedral or something in the Netherlands, where he has this altarpiece there, with much of this symbolism of these mystery cults that how they have survived through the classical elite.
And you're not sort of just trying to find it in there. It's actually refers to
very 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 visible. And you have with Matthias Grünewald this painting in the Isenheim Altar piece.
The crucifixion there.
And that's full of mushroom mythology.
In what way?
And you can see it in some examples. You see the rising Christ. That's the most obvious. How he's portrayed almost like a mushroom with his white stem of a body, and it comes out, and he has this big halo of the mushroom cap. And you also, but more maybe revealing is on this other parts of this, because it's an altarpiece of, there's many you could call it doors, so that you can open it up for different occasions of the Christian calendar, and you have one scene that depicts like the Virgin with the chamber pot with the urine, and we should talk more about urine because that's a very important.
Go ahead.
And you also have another scene with Saint Anthony where he has this basically a bad trip where he's visited by all these monsters, and also another scene where he's out in the wilderness with Saint Jerome. And there you see actually the mushroom, and you have the raven's bread, the raven that comes with bread in its mouth. You've probably seen it in many paintings. It's with Jerome, Saint Jerome. You have the raven, bread, and raven's bread is a name for the mushroom. So,
what?
Yeah, that's and also when you see all these saints in the wilderness, very typical motif, and you have this little red hat. Because they always have red hat. But this is also the cap of the mushroom, I'm sure. But the chamber pot, because this can bring us to this other example, which is a painting by Titian, the Bacchanal of the Andrians.
Oh yeah.
And this is really Piss Mythology, if we can call it like that, because now. But I'll give some background story to it first, because when we talk about Amanita muscaria, the fly agaric,
which is a mushroom,
the red with the white dots, the most famous mushroom that is we all know. This is widely used among Siberian shamans, and the thing with Amanita muscaria is that when you eat it, it can be a little bad for your stomach. But what happens is it's a process in your body where you turn one of this. It's called I think it's ibutenic acid, or if I'm not wrong, and through the process of the body it turns it into muscimol, which is not so unpleasant for the body. So usually the shamans would eat it, and the people would drink his urine because it's still active when you drink the urine, and or they would collect it from deer who would eat it, or reindeer. And there we have Santa Claus and all this, but I'm not talking about that.
With the red nose, no.
But this in the Bacchanal of the Andrians, you can see that this is very. You have Dionysus, the child, this young child Dionysos who is peeing into the river, and you have Ariadne, I think, who's lying on the ground, and the river goes, through the painting here, and then you have this people who are collecting the divine water, and they pour it into these drinking vessels, and it goes back in the background, and they pour it into the glasses of the participants in the orgy, in a way, and they drink it, and to make it more clear, you have this. They're reading this paper there, two of the women, and when you go closely into it, you see it's a melody, it's a song that they are singing, and the lyrics are also written there, and it says that the one who, or if you have drunk but not drinking again or something like this, you don't know what drinking is. And this is a reference to this, that you have to drink it again.
Oh, the piss.
Yeah, you eat the mushroom and you drink it again.
So it's like fermented mushroom.
It's you have to. You have to drink it twice.
Mm-hmm.
So it was made for, what was it? Alfonso the Este, I think, the Duke of Ferrara, in this private gallery that was made for, painted by Titian. So you know that these people were initiated, so it has survived for into the Renaissance. And many more examples of that.
In that case, we're talking about not just sort of having heard a little bit about it, but knowing quite a bit about it. Yeah.
And they have probably been initiated as well, I would say.
Because these mystery cults went underground, but were still alive.
And it's also the Knights Templar, when they came to Jerusalem, they probably also was encountered with the Mithras cult and the Gnostic cults, and it has been kept alive through also nobility and the classical elite of the church, and monks probably also. But they were very. They didn't want anyone else to have the access to the mystery. Then you would get burned at the stake. You have this also the Jewish mystics of these Kabbalists of the Middle Ages. Like, it's a very funny story about this Abraham Abulafia. He was a Jewish mystic living in Spain, and he was I think, if I remember correctly, he was eating manna every day, and manna is also this food of the gods of the Jews. That is also, of course, the mushroom that they ate. And he ate it every day, and you had a double dose on the Sabbath. and he was also drinking this what was the strong wine of Avicenna, also this Arabic alchemist or medical doctor. Okay. And this strong wine, it was very similar to the Greek wine. I don't know if you talked about the Greek wine, but
please do.
Yeah, we should talk about the Greek wine. But I'll just tell the story about this Abraham Abulafia first, because he was in one of his trances that he got from this, because he did all this meditations on the divine name of God, and tried to speak with angels, or I don't know. But then he got a vision that said that he had to convert the Pope. And so he sends a letter to the Pope and says that I'm coming to convert you. And this is in I don't know, whether 12th, 13th century. And the Pope gets, of course, very upset. and he erects a stake for him. He prepares a stake for him to be burned.
Mm-hmm.
But Abulafia, he goes there, and when it comes to Rome, or to his, I think it was his the Pope's countryside home or something. He when it comes to then he finds out that the Pope died just that night from this epileptic fit or something, and so he's not burned. He's just thrown to prison and then released later. It's a very fun story. But yeah, the Greek wine that was also it was a regular wine, like I'm drinking today. It was always fortified, because the stories of the symposium and where they mix the wine, and usually they mix it like if you have 1 part wine, 3 parts water. Sometimes it's so strong you have to have 8 parts water. Sometimes even 20 parts, and they are very small cups. And this was before you had distillation, so alcohol could be maximum like 14 to 18% alcohol. And the description is that if you drink more than 3 cups, you get mad. And you don't get mad from 3 cups of regular wine. And you find recipes also that is full. It was opium, belladonna, it was datura and mandrake, all these very strong psychoactive plants that use.
Well, it's
in the symposium.
That explains the story of Polyphemos when Odysseus is in the cave. And he serves him that undiluted wine.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then he just
falls asleep.
And they take him.
Yeah, because you would not do that from a regular wine.
But
exactly.
Just getting back a little bit.
So the whole Greek culture was very, it was not as many people like to think today that of course no one used drugs, no one were.
Yeah, you never hear about that.
No. Because it doesn't fit with today, where we are very against drugs, very pro, war on drugs, all this. Cannot think that people would have used this kind of substances for.
Yeah, well, Graham Hancock is convinced that basically all the greater civilizations based themselves on that. But then using it in sort of, I don't know, it's sort of reducing it to say that it was medicinal, but I mean it's...
they were a sacred way, or more... I believe that too.
And I think it's so great to hear about it, because where today everything is thou shalt be in your time. And so you need to have some kind of awareness of the eternal perspective. If not, we're screwed. I mean, it's when it comes to building culture. Culture, what is... I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, when we talk about these different mystery cults, and when these then are... When the mystery cult is basically just another idea for individual growth, then this whole idea that has become so commonplace now, that individualism is something Western, something bad and evil and blah blah, then you're describing something a situation where that is the case in India and Persia, in basically all over the world, and then it becomes oppressed with the institutionalization of, or like someone grabbing the key saying you have to pass through me first. Yeah,
definitely. And because the inheritance of the mystery cults has been the what's it called, catalysator for all this catalyst for all these things that Western society is built upon. This the human rights, the science, the freedom of speech, freedom to own property, all these ideas that came through the Enlightenment or through after the Renaissance. It was very directly connected to this inheritance from the classical world. Definitely. And that's why I think that's very important for us today, because we're seeing that this is being taken away more and more. That you have all this censorship online, or you have you cannot speak freely. You've been in the news, or you're and also in the institutions that we are concerned with when it comes to painting and the museums, and the academies, and where you have lost this, because they are classical institutions based on these principles of this freedom of man through the mystery.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, and to really emphasize that it's not classical doesn't mean Western, because you have classical Indian, you have classical Chinese, you have that just means something that is that lasts, and that it lasts because it has an eternal quality or refers to the eternal principles.
And that's and we're losing that. And it's the same. I think I don't remember who said it or exactly how they said it, but it was someone who warned one of the last or one of the Roman emperors when Ulysses was being closed. The mystery was being closed, and it was warned that if you close this mystery, then the civilization as you know it will collapse, because this is it's the contract of man with the goddess or with the world, that to uphold the harmony of the world, something like that. And when we close that, civilization will collapse, and this is maybe what's happening now. We have lost this connection, and I think we need to make this contract again to save civilization. I think we can stop there.
Jonas Landstad, thank you for coming to the Cave of Palace.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. I'd also like to thank our top sponsors, Alistair Blaine, Eric Lasky, Fergus Ryan, Marco Campos, Michael Masco, Stacey Evangelista, Sean Roberts, and Maurice Robbins, as well as our anonymous donors. And head over to kofpillas.com/donate and check out how you can support our show. I'll see you next month.